tears, free my thoughts, free my soul. All these lies that's below. Switch gears with no fear. Persevere through the tears. I like to hold a nigga back. I have my box around, so I have my whole back. Cause with this music where it started at. Now I'm on top like a starter cat. Was lost with the shit, so I had to backtrack. Had to get back to the roots. Now I'm all conscious too. The view of the world changed, so I changed too. Like why we been lied to? Why we been lied to? Yeah, making me look at people differently than I usually do. The IRA, I'm just a different dude. Yeah, I don't know what to think, yeah, but I want my life to change, yeah. Free my thoughts, free my soul. All these lies that's below. Switch gears with no fear. Persevere through the tears. Free my thoughts, free my soul. All these lies that's below. Switch gears with no fear. Persevere through the tears.
Freedom is why I love doing apartment deals.
About to get started. Oh man.
When it's time to let go, living like the unknown. Let your world unfold, figure out info. Yes, how you been told. Yeah, hold crystals, stand by symbol, always humble. Dream big, never settle. Dream big, never settle. No more, let's chill. I just need to build to gain bigger bills. Supposed to be in the way. I need to find a
so retarded today, man. Just the 411 for today with y'all, man. Before we get started.
I'm about to hit my prime, always writing rhymes. Peace on me, this a once in a lifetime. The moon is shining on me, I'm outside. Jamming with my niggas, looking up to the sky. Portals open up, man, I might just rise. I'm no regular ass nigga, just keep it inside. This the shit I be thinking inside. Real lies, real lies.
Anything, just stay there. That's what anything. No matter what you doing, you gotta stay there. You selling dope, if you robbing, if you pimping, if you grabbing, if you going to work every day, you gotta stay there. You feel me? Like, it's always gonna be bumps in the road, but you gotta push through everything. Even if you feel like a brick boy, you gotta go through that motherfucker. Because, you know, it ain't no stopping every day, you still gotta wake up. So, you know, motherfuckers gotta just stay down with their grind. And number two, you know, the company you keep has a large influence on the situations you bring to yourself. So, you know what I mean, whatever direction motherfuckers heading in, whether it's like I said, rap music, production, 9-to-5 life, whatever it is, you gotta surround yourself with people that's like-minded and that's focused on the same goal you focused on. You know what I mean? Birds and feathers fly together. If you're around 9 broke niggas, you gotta be 10 for something. You know, you gotta surround yourself with like-minded people that's the same for success.
When it's time to let go, living like the unknown. Let your world unfold, figure out info, get inside your mental, yeah, hold crystals, stand by symbol, always humble. Dream big, never settle. Dream big, never settle.
Let's see. Excuse. Excuse. Fuck. Damn, what is John got? You feel me? It's gonna be up. It's gonna be up when it drop, you know. No Kizzy. Trying to play this new jump. Excuse me. Trying to play this new jump real quick. That's probably my notes. But yeah. As soon as I send that jank over, man, it's up. I'm really trying to find this jump. Waiting for a turn to come, man. So we get everybody on the live. My bad with the delay. I think that's it right here. Nah. That's it right here. Yeah, that J gonna go. I think that's what type of time I'm gonna be on too, though. No Kizzy. It's time for the real to come out. You know? It's time for the real. Let me see. Let me send this junk to my iPad. Wait for Eternal, man. Nani was good. What it do, yo? What it do, man? Heavy. You got a preview of the drum. Let me see. Cause it's like multiple beats I got from Dre that I haven't yet like decided like how I want to carry it. Cause this project I wanted it to be like really on some divine vibes. So I want to like make sure I pick the right beat for the joint and just not like anything. Cause I like really sitting with it.
Peace, brother.
Peace, bro. What it is, man.
Everything great, man. How you be?
Everything going, man. I'm just glad I'm able to be here. get the live going.
Gotta
You
get
know,
the live started, man.
cause
I see a Ducateers doing it hard, bro.
who that?
I see a Ducateers.
Who
You
is?
know him?
Uh-uh.
From Florida. He not from Florida. He from New York.
From New York.
I'm gonna work on you. I'm gonna see what happens. Yeah, it can bring all the way up your leg if you're not lifting your leg up. I know. And then you gotta come up high as your chest. Otherwise you're getting shot from stepping down automatic.
You about to get the live going. Give it 5 minutes. Yeah, talk. We already at 6. Let me see. Alright, I'm gonna start off with this Quan Yin mantra real quick. Let y'all get the vibes, and it's crazy. Cause this audio is like on the same audio with the Networking Monday event we did. You know what I'm saying? At back in March or April. Yeah, it was April. So we're gonna tap in real quick. Let me see. I say, yo. Man, alright. We're gonna get into it real quick. I wanted to speak on Quan Yin before we get on the libation tip. For people that don't know who Quan Yin is a Buddhist goddess of compassion, mercy, and healing, also known as the eternal protector of women and children, mother, guardian of her children. She achieved enlightenment, stood before the gates of heaven, and the gates opened for her, and she started to enter the gate, but something she had heard something and she paused and she heard the cries of the people on earth. And what interesting is, like, when I over time of this year learning that I started Third Eye Five um with a photo shoot in 2017 at this Buddhist temple on Virginia Beach, and I didn't even know the statues I was standing by while we were shooting these video, like doing the photo shoot. But as in 2000, when 2018 came, I shot a commercial there as well in Virginia Beach with the statue. And then later on, I actually understood or learned about the statue. I started reading because they got a little plaque where you can read who the statue was. And it took me by surprise that it was Quan. Her name was Quan Yin. And my nickname is Quan. So recently back to the like when I went back to the connection of that energy this year, I played the audio around the statue, like the one that was just playing right before I started talking. I played it around the statue, and like I just felt like this urge to cry, and the tears came down right as I was circling the statue. So it was like, man, it was a refreshing feeling because it was like a release at that time. And it was like, I went back to it this morning and listened to the audio. It like did the same thing. It brought them tears to the face and everything. And it was like a good release because holding back so much, you just forget to even try to cry because you're so numb to a lot of stuff. So getting back to that, so seeing how Quan Yin returned with like her spirit and knowing that when people are crying on earth, you can see the immortal energy working with that, and that she's still occur. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to speak on that because it had a correlation of Third Eye Five and me being around it and now getting hip to it is like crazy. So I'm gonna start with the libations. So anyone on the live, they got anyone or any ancestors that passed over or any gods that you want to shout out, you already know the vibes. You two as well. And we just gonna say Ashe after everyone, and we're gonna go about it like that. Anu, Ashe. Ra, Ashe. Tahuti. Anubis, Ashe. Hanuman, SekMa'atra, Ashe. Bata, Ashe. Who? Nut, Ashe. Shango, Ashe. Osiris, Ashe. Haru, Ashe. Isis, Ashe. Mayat, Ashe. Ma'ati, Ashe. Frederick Douglass, Ashe. Nat Turner, Ashe. Terry Turner, Ashe. Queen Ty, Ashe. That's a good one. Cleopatra, Ashe. Abraham, Ashe. Ezekiel.
Most.
You said Tutmosis?
Yep.
Tutmosis, Ashe.
Minosa.
You said no, sir. Ashe. All the Elohims, Ashe.
Ashe.
Anunnaki, Ashe. Lakshmi, Ashe.
Ashe. Kwasikoro.
Kosikura, Ashe. Quan Yin, Ashe.
Takuma. Yeah, I said that.
Takuma, Ashe. Gep, Ashe. Best, Ashe. Malcolm X, Ashe. Marcus Garvey, Ashe. That's crazy. I was thinking about that. Clarence. Eric Gary. Ashe. And to all the gods of the unknown and known, Ashe. Alright. So I'm gonna let you lead it off this time, Eternal. Where you want to start off? Well, actually, I'm gonna say this first.
Yeah, go ahead.
If now is not the time, it always been the time. Mother Earth is waking up, y'all. It's waking up. I think it was today or yesterday, 19 volcanoes had erupted at the same time. Mexico, Russia, Italy, Ireland, and more. You can also see that Ireland also split within the road in Ireland. Saw that yesterday. Then we still got the war going in Hamas, with the Hamas and Israel. And we seeing challenging times right now, and we got to understand to what we need to get back into is the spirit. And the only way we're gonna see it through is remain in spirit and not so much in the physical. And not let it tame us in a way that peace can't be done or peace can't be justified with what's going on. It's like we have to be the peace to bring the peace on the planet.
That's it.
And we be looking so far off. And I remember we were talking about in the other live about scrolling. We be scrolling away, and instead of really tapping in with our divine spirit, and we can get caught up in worldly things, all that's going on, but we gotta bounce back sometimes. Well, not even sometimes, just we gotta bounce back now, because it's like you are seeing what we've been talking about for years. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's happening. And it's like no running away from it. It's like the more you run, the more shit happens type shit. So it's like it's time to really get our spirit together, huh?
Yeah, no, I said karma.
Yeah. So we really, like, this is our main purpose of like even creating this live and doing the podcast. You know, we've been on it heavy this year, so it's It's time. It's time. So I just wanted to say that. I want, you know what I'm saying, everybody keep a positive spirit, be the yin to the yang. It may be negative out there, but it don't have to be negative within. Um, and we just gotta bring that positivity to harmonize what's going on and not create separation. And remember not to separate. Remember not to fall into that because we've been trained to do that all our lives through religion and school, society, everything that's going on. It has taught us ways to separate through through our own family, through our own people, through our people own marriages. You know, we gotta understand where we at and just really find purpose. So you can go off that E if you want.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of the awakenings that a lot of us didn't think would happen to this point. To now is actually showing what the point really represent. If we think about the Scorpio time frame, we are still in the connection of the existing moon. And then, of course, once it comes out of that, there's another moon. They call it the celestial moon. So you'll start to see a bigger outlet of things that's happening. Yet, this is why it's good to gravitate towards the Lost Realms, the book that I basically was speaking on. It gives you more of a calendar look upon things, and if you look at it, the word, let's see if I can find it right quick. The word for a place that a lot of our, even Guatemala to other parts of the Sumerian aspect, we might not have known about the scorpion being a snake or a serpent. So just like different forms to the snake, this serpent or this dragon or the idea of a cat, we've been seeing now why the jaguar has been put even in Black Panther.
Yeah.
It's the connection. We all might not know that it is what it is and what we call an exact type thing, but the word is Nuatu. And the Nuatu, that's basically tapping into your soul spirit. We have a spirit which we call Tono, and as the Aztec and the Mayans and the Olmec, their oldest connection is the Nuatu, which through the Olmec's connection, we find out there's more of the historical side that even when you think of the word antique, this word Antica, Azteca. So there's the word that we've been on technology, and we just didn't see it given to us in so many different ways.
Yeah.
You are in an inhabit of the heavens. You unfold the mountains. You are everywhere, everlasting. You are beseeched. You are entreated. Your glory is imminent. This is one of the affirmations that in the language, of course, they had it in theirs, yet brought it to us on how to speak without having to be baffling. Yet, even in the baffling, we have similarities. That's why you're hearing about the edifice, what's going on and on one side and the other. The edifice were expressed and ingeniously laid out, but they were not built of dressed stones rather than of adobe construction, field stones crudely held together with simple mortar. trade was extensive, but trades was extensive, but it was all a barter trade, which you see that we're heading back into. Um, the tribute was kind. Taxes was paid in personal services. There was no knowledge of money of any kind.
Yeah.
Textiles were woven but mostly rudimentary loom, which meaning that not everything was fancy like it is now. Cotton was spun on clay spindles, the likes of which have been found in the old world in the ruins of Troy, second millennium BC, and sites in Palestine, third millennium BC. In their tools and weapons, the Aztecs were in a Stone Age, unaccountably devoid of metal tools and weapons, although they passed the craft of goldsmithing. For cutting, they used chips of glass like obsidian stones, and of one of the prevalent objects from Aztec times was the obsidian knife used to cut out prisoners' hearts. Now, this here, when we think of what happened here, the prisoner in this aspect, the difference of who's been changed in this, there has been some mockery, and it's from Lilo and Stitch. So when you think about how most people said it was the sacrifice, this was not that. These people that changed the aspects of the Aztecs are the newest amount of people who's changed to make it more barbaric. And this is where you get someone wanted to use the tool, right, and use it for weapons versus using it as what it is, a tool. Now, of course, it's a toy to someone, but then it's a tool to someone else, and then all of a sudden it's a weapon for someone else. And this is why we do have to look at the Sumers, the Semites. What were they talking about? All right, so I'm going to skip around a little bit. The worship of Adonis was quite popular among the Semites of Western Asia around 2000 BC, and the Greeks borrowed. My mom called me. Yo, I gotta take this right now.
Alright. Alright, I'm still be here. So he getting that with the Sumerian text. Um that was like the first civilization before the Egyptian culture came into play. That's where you will find the Anunnakis, um, with the Inky and Enlil, and then everything branching off from that. Um, 'Cause he's going to get at to where like the spread of how all the civilizations came about. You know what I'm saying? The spread on that with the Mayans. You know what I'm saying? These was like key to what how life is, how it became out today, as far as like even when we thought like the world was gonna end in 2012, and but really it was the calendar ending for the Mayans. So that was his peak end time right there. So I'm trying to see how many years was that? 13, 15, 16, yeah. So we in child of the time. We're gonna wait on E to come back in. Eternal. We're gonna finish it off. Finish the we're gonna finish off where you can start off at. But in the meantime, let's get to some tunes real quick.
Big dreams, Yeah, yeah. Ooh, la, la, la. Ooh, la, la, la. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, la, la, la. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, let me kick it real. Been trying to stay focused, always up for a chase. That shit is in the way. At times I can't think. Pulling up the stain. I wanna write something more, fuck something. Reminiscing on shorty on her knees. Pussy remind me of the sea. Eat her like cat and D's. I'm no tease. See why I'm this way. I'm some bricky shit. Yeah, Scorpio shit. Always on top of the rope and shit. I'm the champion.
Yo.
Bitch knocked out with an animal.
Where you left off at? Cause you was getting that with the Shemites and the Sumerian text, I believe. Semite,
Western
yeah.
Asia around 2000 BC, and the Greeks borrowed it from them about the 7th century BC. The actual name of this god was Tammuz, since Adonis, the Semitic Adon, is a title meaning Lord. The Greek, through error, converted this title of honor into a proper name. The Adonis cult was of pre-Semitic origin, going back to the Sumerians, the earliest civilized people of the Mesopotamia. This fact has been concisely expressed by Fraser, which is one of the authors that wrote, while Tammuz, or his equivalent Adonis, enjoyed a wide and lasting popularity among people of the Semitic stock, there were grounds for thinking that this worship originated with the race of other blood and other speech, the Sumerians, who in the dawn of history inhabited the flat alluvial plain, which basically from one being flat to one now seeing the oval at the head of the Persian Gulf, and created the civilization which was afterwards called Babylonia. In southern Babylonia, the Sumerians attained at a very early period to a considerable pitch of civilization, for they tilled the soil, reared cattle, built cities, dug canals, and even invented a system of writing, which their Semitic neighbors in time borrowed from them. This is from Sir James Fraser, Adonis, Attis, Osiris, Volume 1, New Hyde Park, New York University Books, 1961. Tammuz, or Adonis, was one of the oldest gods of the Sumerian pantheon. In the Babylonian mythology, Adonis is regarded as the youthful consort and lover of Ishtar, the great mother goddess. He was believed to die annually and to descend to the underworld. His divine mistress would then journey to hell to bring him back to earth. During the sojourn of Ishtar in the infernal regions, love was banished from the world, and the reproduction of life came to a halt. The great god Ea found it easy to send messengers to Alatu, queen of the infernal regions, demanding the return of Adonis and Ishtar to the upper world, so that the life cycle should continue to operate according to the law of nature. In more than one Babylonian hymn, Tammuz is likened to plants that rapidly faded away. One such latent reads, Tamarisk that in the garden has drunk no water, whose crown in the field has brought forth no blossom, a willow that rejoiced not by the water course, a willow whose roots were torn up, a herb that the garden had drunk no water. The death of this deity was annually mourned during the midsummer month of Tammuz by his devotees who chanted digress over his effigy to the accompaniment of the music of flutes. The laments were chanted over an effigy of dead God, which was bathed with water, anointed with oil, and clothed in crimson robe, while the fumes of incense brought the dead deity back to life. The Greeks later adopted this theme to their own mythology. The Greek version was restated by Fraser with the characteristic of charm. Now, notice I said characteristic of charm, not manipulation. What we have as a group of people, we took on the same likeness of, if you looked in the Matrix, you basically see this written all over it. How you have the man basically passing away and the woman goes in to get the man, and then she comes back, and then he comes back after that. And there's, of course, someone in between that. So this is like saying the symbolic connection of Asar, Aset, and Tahuti being the Morpheus character. And then, of course, you got Nephis, who's also being played as Haru, which takes care of the baby or takes care of the nurture. So we can call that the oracle. There's a lot of what we look at that gives us this story over and over again. The tragical story and the melancholy, how do you say it? Melancholy. You get what I'm saying. Rites of the Adonis are better known to us from the descriptions of Greek writers from the fragments of Babylonian literature, or the brief reference of the prophet Ezekiel, who says the woman of Jerusalem weeping for Tammuz at the north gate of the temple, mirrored in the glass of Greek mythology. The Oriental deity appears as a comely youth beloved by Aphrodite. In this infancy, the goddess hid him in a chest, which she gave in charge to Persephone, queen of the netherworld. But when Persephone opened the chest and beheld the beauty of the babe, she refused. Notice the beauty of the babe too, and we're going to get to that. She refused to give him back to Aphrodite, though the goddess of love went down herself to
pause real quick. Who is dive deep a little bit on Aphrodite?
Well, that's why I brought this up, because Aphrodite would be the same connection as saying Sekhmet, or the same connection as saying Tamarwet. Tamarwet would be the hippopotamus. But the Aphrodite would be the connection of feminine and masculine. If you ever notice, Haru's conversation ended up being like 3 conversations in one. We wouldn't know like exactly which type of, that line connection. But there's a feminine line just as much as there's a masculine line. The ones a lot of us are familiar with is Beset. So you would think that one who's learned himself as a masculine and a feminine, and this is where you get divinity from. So this story is like a story within a story on top of a story, but it's based on a legend. And a legend would be one who knew themselves as the divine, and that's where you get the Aphrodite aspect.
That's deep. That's it.
Right.
That's it.
So this when I'm reading this, it's basically showing you how the body was separated, and not saying that the body was separated. So it's like the spirit and soul, and how they found themselves back again, or separated themselves to get back to finding themselves again.
So
Okay, so
okay, how could like with that? How could someone implement that within themselves?
well, let me finish, and then I can show
Okay.
you how.
All right.
All right, so um, through the goddess of love, went down herself to hell to ransom her dear one from the power of the grave. The dispute between the two goddesses of love and death were settled by Zeus, who decreed that Adonis should abide with Persephone in the underworld for one part of the year, and Aphrodite in the upper world for another part. At last, the fair youth was killed in hunting by a wild boar, or by the jealous Ares, Ares, who turned himself into the likeness of a boar in order to compass the death of his rival. Bitterly did Aphrodite lament the love and loss of Adonis. The strife between the divine rivals and the possession of Adonis appears to be depicted on a Euroskin mirror. The two goddesses identified by nutrition. Inscriptions are stationed on either side of Jupiter, who accompanies the seat of judgment and lifts an admonitory finger as he looks sternly towards Persephone. Overcome with grief, the goddess of love buries her face in her mantle. Now, mantle meaning just like how we finding out new waters, new mantles are under the water, that there's surfaces. So she's saying she buried her face in her mantle. This is basically telling you about the earth itself. While her pertanious rival, grasping a branch in one hand, points out the other at a close confer which probably contains the youthful Adonis. In this form of the myth, the contest between Aphrodite and Persephone for the possession of Adonis clearly reflects the struggle between Ishtar and Alatu in the land of the dead, which the decision of Zeus that Adonis is to spend one part of the year underground and another part above ground is merely a Greek version of the annual disappearance and reappearance of Tammuz. And where you get this from is basically like how you see in West and East. When you see the sun and the moon, when you see them fighting, it's not really they fighting. It's more like you getting more sunlight on one time of the season, and then you're getting less of that sunlight.
Yeah.
So this explanation has been taught to us all across the world, where we don't see it as much. So now I'm gonna read this little part, then we can go in. The myth of Adonis was localized and its rites solemnly practiced at two cities in Western Asia. These places were Byblos on the Syrian coast and Paphos in Cyprus. Now, both of these cities were seats of the worship of Astarte or Ishtar. And according to tradition, both were ruled by King Cinyras, the father of Adonis. Byblos was the older of the two cities. It's said to have been found in the dim and distant past by the great god El, whom the Greeks called Kronos and the Romans Saturn. In early historical times, Byblos was the religious religious capital of the nation. To the Phoenicians, it was that Jerusalem was to the Jews and Mecca to the Muslims in later days. This
Say that one more
on
time.
a hill. Say it again.
Say that one more time.
In historical times, Byblos was the religious capital of the nation. To the Phoenicians, it was that Jerusalem was to the Jews and Mecca to the Muslims in later days. The city was built on a hill facing the sea and was famous for its temple of Astarte. The structure occupied an extensive open court surrounded by cloisters and entered from below by staircases. It was crowned by a tall cone-shaped obelisk, the sacred emblem of the goddess. In this shrine, the rites of Adonis was also celebrated. In fact, the whole city was sacred to him, and the river Nahar Ibrahim which flows into the sea near Byblos was known in ancient times as the Adonis River. A dynasty of kings, the Synrods, for many generations ruled over Byblos. The king Sinras was disposed and sentenced to death by the Roman general. Remember, this is still connected to Saturn. Pompey the Great for excesses of tyranny. Excesses of tyranny. A remote ancestor of this last Sinras was said to be found, a fane of Astarte atop Mount Lebanon. The site of this shrine was perhaps at Afaka, located at the source of the river Adonis, about halfway between Byblos and Baalbek. The sacred grove of Astarte at Afaka flourished until the 14th century of the Christian era, when the Roman Emperor Constantine destroyed the sanctuary on account of the orgiastic rites performed there. The vow of Adonis was picturesque, and it was imposed site for great pagan sanctuary. This was written by Fraser. The description of the veil of Adonis is one of the finest passages. Now, this is where you're getting the idea of why or how, even the idea from charm to now, destruction came in. And I'm not going to go deep on that yet. This is why there also is the connection of the corners of the earth, like how we got the signs of the zodiac, the exception of the scorpion, which was an exchange by Dan for the eagle. Now, I'm going to go into the eagle in a second, too, which carried by the different tribes of the Israelites. On their standards, and Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio, or the eagle. The four signs of Reuben, Judah, Ephraim, and Dan were placed at the four corners. The four cardinal points of their encampment, evidently in allusion to the cardinal points of the sphere, the equinox and solstice, when the equinox was in Taurus. As the four horsemen and their steeds, the first horseman was conquered armed with a bow. Now, you're going to always get this story about this bow and arrow concept. Wearing a crown and riding a white horse. This was the planet Venus. Now, I'm going to tap into this, and then I'm going to tap into another book and show you where all this is still it's still giving you the same thing. The second horse was ridden by a warrior with a sword. This was the planet Mars. All right? The third horse horse was black, with the rider holding a pair of balances, which basically like the scales. This was the planet Saturn. The fourth horse was a pale green or blue-green color, and his rider was Death. This was the planet Mercury. I'm gonna show you the book that I'm getting all this from. It's Christianity Before Christ. Now, of course, I know most people say, well, how do you get Christianity before Christ? Well, the reason why they had to give it to you that way because it was already Christ. And what most people do is they, like what you're getting ready to find out is somebody will cover it up, put something on top of it, and then say, oh, well, this came before it. And then you'll be like, oh, okay, I guess so.
Right.
Like, we ain't gonna know, but you're gonna know because there's certain things that people are constantly gonna talk about, like with the eagle. Have you ever heard of the feathered serpent?
Yeah.
I'm gonna show you a picture of why they were giving you this goddess, how they were fighting over Adonis. This is the picture right here. I wrote a couple things around it. I'll just tell you what I said around that. But you always get this because this is a representation like the 13th zodiac. But you're getting this connection of the 13th zodiac from what they call it Tlalloc, Talak. And Talak is the cloud of the wind snakes. So just like when we think of, like I was saying earlier about the serpent has a connection to the reptile, like we think of Scorpio. There you go, yeah, serpent snake. And this is why you find out the ankh from one side is carried with one hand, and then of course there's the scepter in the other. And so how does that work? Someone is speaking, but they're speaking through the ancestral background. We didn't have to write down words. It was all pictorial. So that's why when I was reading about the Greeks, you see the Greeks came up with writing versus having it as the glyphs. And so that's another reason why you're going to find out. And here it says the heaven and earth. And out of this, you find the stairway to heaven. This is the second page, but you can see that it's talking about the volumes of the Earth Chronicles, the 12th planet. And because we don't talk about these planets like Venus, Mars, Saturn, and Mercury, those four planets are very important because those are your triangles. Now, if you notice about the city that they were speaking on the concept was saying it was like in a U shape. Well, look here. There's this shape again that's kind of like not only a U, but more of a square.
That's the Mecca, right?
There's a lot of...
Where's that? The Mecca?
That's in Mexico. This is in Mexico.
Mexico.
So you're finding out these are, which is called Tutacuan. That place is an area where they're living in Aztec. But if you go back enough, you find out that it travels all the way to Brazil. That these people have the same connection of why do they put these out, and then there's the actual pyramid and how the pyramid is basically a bigger version because the Great Pyramid can sit on top of this pyramid, the step pyramid, and that pyramid, this step pyramid was a way of you waking up to how you got Stairway of Heaven. Ship placements. Now, just like what she said, ship placements. If you notice, the Aztecs, when they finally left, they left, but then you wonder where did they go? The word in here is tech. Hold on. The word is because when we think about ship, Noah and the ship is still coming out of the Sumerian connection. All right, let me just start right here. According to the Sumerians themselves, courses of events after deluge, there have been stated and restated a high civilization upon Earth before before the deluge, a civilizations begun on Earth by those who had came from the planet of Anu, and continued through a line of long-living demigods, the offspring of intermarriage between the extraterrestrials, the biblical Nephilim, and the daughters of man. Egyptians, which we call Kemetic chronicles, such as the writings of the priest Menephtah, followed the same concept. So, of course, did the Bible, which describes both rural life, farming, sheep herding, and urban civilization, cities, metallurgy, before the deluge, all that, who, however, according to all of those ancient sources, was wiped off the face of the earth by the deluge, and everything had to be restarted from scratch. The book of Genesis begins with creation tales of the concise versions of much more detailed Sumerian text. In this, it constantly speaks of the Adam. I didn't say Adonis, I didn't say Adon, but I said Adam. So now, literally, the earthling, but then it switches to the genealogy of specific ancestor named Adam. This is the book of generations of Adam, Genesis 5:1. He had two sons at first, Cain and Abel. After Cain killed his brother, he was banished by Yahweh. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son, and called his name Sheth, which is Sheth, which we know it as Set. It is this line, the line of Sheth, that the Bible follows through a genealogy of patriarchs to Noah, the hero of the deluge story, the tale that focuses on the Asian, African, European people. But whatever happened to Cain and his line, all we have in the Bible are a dozen verses. Yahweh punished Cain to become a nomad, a fugitive, and a vagabond on earth. And Cain went away from the presence of Yahweh and dwelt in the land of Nod, east of Eden, which is, you look at Eden, you got Den, and then you got Neda. So think of it as nature when you say the word Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. And he built a city and called the name of the city by his son's name, Enoch. Several generations later, Lamech was born, which you can still see that word as Michael. He had two wives. One, Jabal, was born. He was the father of such dwells in tents and have cattle. Of the other, I'm going to go into that cattle again. Of the other two sons were born. One, Jubal, was the father of all such as play the lyre and the pipe. Now here we go with the music again. The other son, Tubal, Cain, was an artificer of gold and copper and iron. So this was not the metal, this is not, the Stone Age. It's talking about the metallurgy that I was saying earlier. This meager biblical information is somewhat augmented by the pseudo-pigraphical book of Jubilees, believed to have been composed in the 2nd century BC from earlier sources relating events to the passage of Jubilees. It states that Cain took Awan, his sister, to be his wife, and she bore him Enoch at the close of the 4th Jubilee. Now here's you getting these 4 pillars, and now they're saying 4th of the Jubilee, so you're still getting your seasons. And in the first year of this first week of the 5th Jubilee, house was built on earth. And Cain built a city and called its name after the name of his son, Enoch. also explains like 5 suns without calling it that. Omega Alpha technology. That's right. Biblical scholars have long been puzzled by the naming of both a descendant of Adam through Sheth and through Cain, Enoch, meaning foundation, as well as other similarities in descendant names. Whereas the reason it is evident that the sources on which the Bible's editors have relied attributed to both Enochs, who were perhaps one prehistoric person, extraordinary deeds. The book of Jubilees states that Enoch was the first among men that were born on earth who learned writing and knowledge and wisdom, and who wrote down the signs of heaven according to their months in a book, according to the book of Enoch. The patriarch was taught mathematics and knowledge of the planets and the calendar during his heavenly journey, and was shown the location of the 7 metal mountains on earth in the west. The pre-biblical Sumerian text known as King List also related to the story of pre-deluvial ruler who was taught by the gods of all manner of knowledge. His name was Durunki, which Lord of the knowledge of foundation of heaven and earth, and you probably and a very probable prototype of the biblical Enochs. The Nuatu, which I was saying about the soul, the Nuatu, and this is when you think of how it was explained earlier. Nuatu is not how someone will beg for money and do all these things in the daytime. This will be you at night and don't beg for money. And what I was saying earlier about taxing people, your spiritual guidance, your elders, basically, not your elders. The Nuatu's tales of wandering arrival as a final destination, settling marked by the building of a city of a patriarch with 2 wives and sons, of whom tribe nations have evolved, of one that became renowned for being a craftsman in metals. Do they not read almost as the biblical tells? Even the Nuatu stressing of the number 7 is reflected in the biblical tales for 7th descendant through the line of Cain, Lamech, magnetly proclaimed that 7-fold shall Cain be avenged, and Lamech 70 and 7. Are we then encountering in the traditions of the 7 Nuatu tribes echoes olden memories of the banished of Cain and his son Enoch? The Aztecs called their capital Tenochtitlan, the city Tenoch, so naming it after their ancestor, considering that their dialect, the Aztecs, had prefixed many names with the sound T, and Tenoch could have originally been Enoch if the prefix T is dropped. A Babylonian text based, in their opinion, of scholars on an earlier Sumerian text from the 3rd millennium BC, magnetically relates a conflict ending in murder between the earth-tilling and shepherding brother, just as the biblical Cain and Abel. So now you have 2 masculines fighting, but when we were speaking earlier, you were saying it was a love thing, a feminine and a masculine, and when one went, the other one went to go get the other one. So now this one is 2 men basically fighting each other, and now, you know what I mean, they basically die. Doomed to the wrong and sorrow, the offending leader called K-A-I-N, Cain, migrated to the land of Dunu, twin towers atop the temple pyramids were a hallmark of the Aztec architecture. I'm not gonna go really deep with that, but when you find out this twinning of the towers is basically saying the sun and the moon, and they're separated from each other. And if you like go out there, because I got people now that's popping up and letting me know what it looks like and what they seeing, and it makes perfect sense of how the pyramids were built. And I don't think too many people are really familiar by it. Now, this right here, you can see, you know, there's one big one right here, and then there's one further in the background right there.
And that's in Mexico. That's in Mexico.
Yes, in Mexico. And what you're finding out is they basically that was the agriculture. These mountains were able to irrigate water, as they keep speaking about the Nile and things of that nature. See, you got here. So you're getting how the sunlight, right? Wherever the sunlight comes, it's just like saying the moon will also have its own direction. And when it does, it gives a certain angle. And out of this angle, you get a certain amount of light. And what we were saying about the battle of going back and forth, this is the same way, but now explaining it from, because you got, let's say, 4 planets, right? The 4 planets, we were speaking of Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury. Venus, Mars, Mercury, and Saturn. These were the main 4, but then you have the 2, that's basically your sun, and your moon, that's your 6. And we wouldn't look at these things because it's not like based into saying those are planets. Yet they are, because you're including them. What we don't find out is just like this, if you don't see it, but if you can, just take a look. You're seeing the dragons or the serpents, and they're depicted at the bottom on the sections of the pyramid. Now, because we don't have this in our eyesight, we might not think they're connected. But when we talk about the the feathered serpent, this makes sense because in the indigenous side, they spoke of the eagles a lot. And when you find out the eagle sits on a cactus that sits on a rock, the cactus is on the rock, the eagle sitting on top of the cactus, and then there's the water at the bottom. What you'll find out in today's society, they'll change it and make the eagle grabbing the snake.
Right.
Which, when it was the cat,
that's on
the snake. And so now you're seeing that there's people that's taking your version and shorten it and then separate it. So
that's on the Mexican flag too.
Right, exactly. So like this here, this is the Great Pyramid on top of the Step Pyramid. Now, what would you say came first, the Step Pyramid or the Great Pyramid? That's a question for you, bro.
The Step Pyramid.
Yeah, because now if you think about it, you would want to make it small first before you made it all big and tall, because you have situations where it could collapse. This is why you get this one here, where it's the bent pyramid. But then they figured out how to use the step pyramid aspect, so they started with the slopes, the steps first, to build it a better way, so then they can just go ahead and make this top part basically like when somebody want to land there, like if you had, let's say, the UFO, you can land that joint right on top of that joint. So it was a portal spot. It wasn't like what people are depicting it as. And when they were saying that, they were killing people, that's another thing. We got to debunk some of this stuff right quick. Chachi Koto, she is the goddess of water and the spouse of the Talak. Now, Talak was represented with a jaguar face, and then you have this sister who basically is the connection, the sort to him. Now, what they did was they put this picture out, and you see a lot of that also of him, and he'll have a different name. Now, his name is still almost like what I said, but it's Talati, which is TLACI. Now that's where they actually were doing that ball game. You know, if you saw, what is it? It's one of those movies that they show as if they were always throwing the ball in, and if they messed up, they would have to kill the other side. I don't know how that story went. What I'm going to say is, though, in that story, it's based on the Saturn ring, and it's also based on the level of water on the land, because this was indicating the water on the land. The water on the land is just like having this container or this jar or vase on the stomach. If you ever looked at the Anunnaki, they also carry the same faith, basically saying bringing life into the world. So in the same way, this is where you get to meditate more. This is a meditational pose. This is why you get it like Buddha. The head turned sideways is a form of meditating, like towards the sun or towards the moon. So when they show these big lifelike pictures, they're telling us something, but they ain't telling it like how most of us are wanting to get it by the wrong information. So a lot of us are not knowing the 4 pillars.
I have a question.
Sure.
All right, so when you were mentioning, as far as like the stair, what just the stairs or something like that?
Stairway to heaven.
All right, so
Stairway to heaven.
So you said which one came first and all that stuff. All right, so it kind of reminded me on the back of the dollar bill how it's separated, and like the base of it is the stairs.
That's right.
And where the top of the dollar, the top of the where it's disconnected is pretty much where that craft can come in, or
yes,
like that comes on top of it.
Yep.
And then it reminded me of basically, you know how the mounds are called pyramids.
Yes.
So even though we had those pyramids set up everywhere, that was still the sacred mounds of what I'm trying to think, because what they used pretty much the mounds for were like, you know, like the burials. So is this where they pretty much took the spirits, the higher level, where they contacted them, buried them in the mound, and were being able to be lifted into the ships?
Right. So you got, they're called Cheops, Cheops. The pyramids were called Cheops, and in that
You said Cheops? You said Cheops?
Yeah, Cheops, Cheops. So they were able to like teleport basically, and just like what we were just speaking on, that's going to be a point of like we had the elders, the ancient, were going to that room, just like we were talking about scrolling. They would actually use the obsidian and give them a chance to scroll into another realm, but it'd be those pyramids that are all across the board, and that's how they tap in on the other side. That's
So
basically
this reminded me when, I'm not sure if you remember, but I showed you the inside of the Pyramid of Giza, and it was like a certain angle because I actually tapped into some technology on the Pyramid of Giza, which Spirit had me figure out, it was called Omega Alpha technology. What they're trying to figure out what's in the pyramids is actually something that we'll be able to tap into through our DNA. And basically, when I was looking at the walls of it, I started to channel, and the walls started to depict the picture of the Egyptians or the indigenous people, and they look like the Indians. They just look like black people, and they just had on like regular Indian Egyptian type type of clothing. But I seen this, and I seen the people, they were working on the land, and I seen it through the phone. When I zoomed in on a pyramid, and I told Spirit, which is your carbon, which is your intelligence, which are the angels of the angles, and I was able to look inside the angle of the pyramid at the walls and actually form the pictures of these like people, and it was moving, and I was like, oh shit, like what the hell was that? But it was
Keep going.
Her connection stopped.
Uh,
It was like she diving too
well,
deep.
like he's saying, it's the example of the toise. See the smaller version?
okay. Okay, wait, I'm back.
Go ahead.
All right. So it was about it was about when they had Da Vinci, and he had the Da Vinci Code with the people in there, but it was something about the Pyramid of Giza. It was a stone, and I said that when you turn it sideways, B48, where am I at? When you turn it sideways, when you turn it sideways, I was like, basically, I turned the phone inside of the pyramid multiple times just to see each angle of it. And certain angles, I was able to see where, and this is what, remember I told you turn on, I said, one side will be the connection to the Ankh El, and the woman will be holding on to like the wall, and it was a stone where they would place the baby coming out on the stone, and it was like something above it where baby will be able to, like, maybe the motherboard or a craft will come above the pyramid, but it lined up with the stone where you can be able to channel whatever deity or whatever inside of the baby, or the return of whatever deity.
Right. So that's your primordial head. That's why you didn't see, like, this pyramid. There's another pyramid right here. You see that they didn't have a top because this is where the primordial energy, like the brain, how we tap back in. So the thing right here, you see the pyramid up there?
They have a top.
You can see each angle. You can see each angle. Like if you looked at it from this point, if you looked at it from this point, you start seeing not only triangle, you also see the circle, you also see the square.
Right.
So like we said, dollar bill, they separated it, but they didn't separate truth. You can't separate truth. You know what I mean? So in the center, you could say one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. By the time you get to the 5th or 6th layer, you're now in the center of what's going on. And so while the 7th was always missing, or the 7 was a slant, this is why the levels were only at 4, like a 4 pillar.
Oh, I know.
Well, what I was gonna say is when you get to the 6th pillar, it's a higher level. So
Right.
you can't move all 4 on that same level without getting to a higher level. So that's what they found out by doing the step pyramid. This is why this is separated. You see these not having anything in the middle? This is letting you know, now I see masculine and feminine, and now what masculine and feminine can bond, not having a child, nativity is the same thing. Irrigation of the water, same thing.
So that's like
Good.
that's like the 7. You said the 7 was like missing or something like that. So the
No, the
7.
7 was always mentioned.
Oh,
They always
mentioned.
mention. Yeah, they always mention, but they don't get what it's about.
All right, so they mentioned the 7. So like in numerology, 7 is spirituality, right? But the 7 is also the 5. That's what we rely on. So, and then you said, what did you say about the 6?
I said the 6 was basically how they got 4 pillars plus the 2 to make it a higher point. They're not still even, like the 4 pillars, right? Let's say I did 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4. The 4 pillars can be even, but when you want it to still go higher, let's say I want the other 2 pillars lesser than the 2.
That's
So it's
right.
giving you steps. And now you didn't notice it's steps now, but it's equal now.
So the
It's
steps,
making it into a higher center.
it's basically the 3, 6, 9, the Pisces to
Yeah.
Gemini. So Pisces being 12, that's the 3. Gemini being the 3. So that's already the 6 right there. And when Gemini, Pisces connection, they do the Scorpio energy, which is the 8, which is which is really the 7, the spirituality, knowing the both sides, the life and the death, coming back out of it to know the actual to know the 7 that's being mentioned, or know the 7, and then also knowing the 6, the spiral back down of it all. So
Right.
those were, you had to take those steps from like the 7 to know the 7, which is basically the 90-degree angle.
Which is depth
Right.
and depth.
Mhm.
So the reason why, you know, the 4 pillars were put there, they were shown us as the men, but they weren't really men. These are 4 women, and they changed it and reversed the sons. This is why we have a problem in America right now, because they changed the sons. It's like how we were talking about with Adonis connected to Aphrodite. These are women, they're strong women. So they had to change it to become strong men. Now, of course, the women had the men, which that's the connection to the 8. There is 2 sons with this one woman who created these 2 sons. But of course, this is where you get night and day from. So that's why they had to still put it in so many ways.
Which was the Capricorn and the Leo. Which was like Capricorn being the devil of the zodiac, so the one that failed, and Leo being the one that's at home, heart, heaven. So, and I'm just going off of me being the master 11. That's the pillars right there. Me having the 2 sons, which is the daughters are the real true sons. So now I'm looking at my 2 daughters I have. I have 2 daughters, a Capricorn and a Leo. So those would be like the 2 pillars, with the Leo being true being the master 3, and then which is the Trinity, and then I think Sage is 8, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so being the sun like Leo, because Leo is also represented as a masculine conversation. So if we said Leah or Leah, that's still connected to the lioness without having to say it. This is where our names got overplayed or changed, just like the Mithra. There's 12 Mithras, but out of that, they always showing it depicted as killing the bull. Here's the Mithra right here in the picture. But Mithra would be like a demigod. Now, the reason why they kept showing us this is because they had to bring it down into different ways. So there's the system is symbolized as 1, the raven, 2, the griffin, 3, the soldier, 4 is the lion, 5 is the Persian, 6 is the courier of the sun, and 7 is the eagle. So when we're still going with these eagle concepts, you got to see why they go all the way up to the top without saying, oh, this is why they call it the eagle.
Oh, because the spirituality eagle is the highest saying bird, the eagle eye, which is the ego, but it's just the bull's eye.
Right, which is the several names of Haru. You got the different conceptions of Haru. All right, so out of the temple of Luxor, they're giving you the inner walls of the Holy of Holies, right? And in this is the same way as the 4 scenes that the Christians are representing as the Annunciation, the Immaculation Conception of the Virgin Mary, and the birth and the adoration of Christ the Child. The 4 consecutive scenes are engraved on the walls, Temple of Luxor. So if you look at which was reproduced by Gerald Massey, he called it Ancient Egypt, the Light of the World, Volume 2. In this, they talk about the Annunciation. That's the god Thoth, Thoth. If we find out this is where you get L from. It's shown announcing to the birth in Isis the impending birth of her son Haru, or what we say Horus. The Immaculation Conception is the god Kenneth, which is the Holy Ghost, and the goddess Hathor, which we know is Haru. are shown mythically impregnating the virgin by holding crosses, symbol of life, which is, we know it as the Ankh, to the head and the nostrils of the mother-to-be. Now, if you look up here, head and the nostrils, head and the nostril. So you're seeing the Ankh was taken and switched. But we're going to find out more about that later. The birth of the child, God, the mother sits on the midwife's stool, and the newborn infant is held by attendants. As you see, same as they did in the manger, when they give you the birth of Christ, and how he's supposed to with the three wise men. So you got 1 and 2, that's 3 right there. The adoration with the infant Horus or Haru is shown receiving homage from the gods and men, including the 3 kings. That's what I was speaking on. Magi, who are tendering him gifts. In the scene, the cross symbol again appears. In this picture, as one of the Egyptologists noted, he has the Annunciation, the conception, the birth, and the adoration as described in the first and second chapters of Luke's Gospel, and as we have historical assurance that the chapters in Matthew's Gospel, which contain the miraculous birth of Christ after additions, not the earliest manuscript. It seems probable that these 2 poetical chapters in Luke may also be unhistorical and borrowed from the Egyptian or Kemetic accounts of the miraculous birth of their kings. That's why you got the ancient, the several gods named Haru over a period of thousands. I said thousands. I ain't say hundreds. I ain't say 5 days. Thousands of years. The various Horuses blended together until there is only 2 left. Horus the sun and Horus the son of Osiris and Isis. The principal Horus, which we call hours, the time, is also God's, were as follows. Now, she stated earlier about the Gemini house, which is the 3rd house, the 12th house, which is Pisces, the 9th house, which is Sagittarius, and the 6th house, which is Virgo. Now, in this, it's giving you the 7 Horuses. Out of this, Horus the Elder. This god was worshipped chiefly in a temple at Umbos in Upper Egypt. His image was that of a man with the head of a hawk, as a hawk or as a lion. This is where you get Nahesh. Horus the Younger, he was represented as a youth with a lock of hair on the right side of the head. I know you've seen that in Prince of Egypt. This was called the Horus or Haru lock and symbolized youth. This Horus wore the double crown of the 2 Egypts. Now, he also is Khonsu. You look up Khonsu, he got braided hair. He's the only one out of all the, gods or deities that was put out there with some hair braided. Horus of the 2 eyes. Now, if you think about it in Matrix, this also starts to show the same thing. His images show a man with a hawk's head upon which were the horns of a ram and a solar disc and a coiled serpent, the Uraeus. In each hand of this Horus or Haru was an Uexit. That's where you get your scepter from. Symbol of all-seeing eyes of the sun god. That's why you see Moses carry the scepter. Now, 4, that's 1, 2, 3. The elder, the younger, the Horus of the 2 eyes. Now I'm going to blind Haru or Horus, known as Haru or Horus, Lord of not seeing, would symbolize the sun in eclipse. And now that's what we get.
Like the horoscope, being able to see different angles or slits of a snake's eye,
right,
to be able to see the knowing your circle to know your square.
Which is your 6th sense. He was able to tap into empathy and sympathy once Neo, he had to go through a whole movie with his eyes gone. but then they got his eye concept back by using still the strength of his ears and his eyes. I mean, his ears, his nose, his mouth, even his hands by touch. So now here's the fifth one. The Horus of the two horizons. This was the rising and setting sun, symbolized by the Sphinx. This is also known as the Phoenix.
Right.
Then you have the sixth one, which is the Golden Horu, which is the morning sun or the dawn. Now you got the seventh.
Peace.
Seventh one is of Edfu. Haru was the son of the southern heavens as midway, exemplifying the greatest power and heat of the sun. Now you notice you go into different areas of location, whether you be on this side or the other side, you'll find out that the sunlight is majorly different. And so you're going to find how these are body parts that is like as if we're on a giant. And basically, he got cut down into 14 pieces, and we're on all these different parts of the 14 pieces.
So what body part does Libra rule?
The body part, that would be the kidneys and the scales of the back. So it can still be.
So that will be the hottest part. And I don't know, but I'm just going off of I got a brother. He's a Libra, so who would be the seventh heaven? So that's why I'm just wondering, like, what part of the body of it, what would that be? So the back would still be like the Kundalini, the fire, the serpent energy.
Yeah, it would explain this here as the Satan aspect. Like the why they say 7 up, 7 down. You know what I mean? When you think about it,
that's still VA though. Even though the 7 is just the VA, it's still cut at an angle where you're not seeing the total. You're seeing 60 instead of 90.
Which gives you the reason why you're saying the 60 and the 90, taking away the zeros, you got 609. The virgin, married, the separation, now together, the 3 being 369, Virgo or Virgin Star David is the 6, but they're using the 7 to create that. So just like that, there's the mount. We call it the mount. Like circumcised came from the parenthood, right? So it's been that this concept of Jesus or Yahshua, Yahweh, was persecuted, arrested, tried, condemned, crucified, buried, and resurrected. All those represented the 7. So it had to be like a point of, I got to give reference to something so I can still have reference in something. Right. So like here in VA, Virginia has the Star of David. Even though we might not be thinking on that, like the blind man, that would be another way of really tapping into your energy.
Right.
So there's
So are you saying like the energy of like the 6-9?
Yeah.
Okay, that's funny because that's my birthday when you break it down. I'm 6/18, so.
That's 6-9. Yep. And so we're looking at the science of will, which is the 5th. That's why we're tapping into now the 5th sun. It went from the 6th sun going back now to the 5th sun. So now the science of will. That's why we have a lot of Leos, a lot of Leos out, but we're not calling her the Phoenix. We might be calling her not thinking the Sphinx. So the masculine, the feminine, they're having a battle right now.
So my sister's name is Leah, and she's a Leo.
Right. That's it.
On my dad's side.
So now we're finding out how less powerful than we should be on the earth. So the science of will is the principle of all wisdom, and the source of all power is contained in the 22 arcana, or symbolic hieroglyphs. Each of these attributes conceal a certain meaning, and which, taking a whole, composed an absolute doctrine memorized in its correspondence with the letters of the sacred language, and with the letters they connected with those letters. And with these letters, each letter and each number contemplated by the eye or uttered by the mouth expresses a reality of the divine world, the intellectual.
The eye and the That's kind of remind me of what the lady drew. That picture that kind of looked like me a little bit. How it got the eye and the cloud, but then it's got the running water from the mouth.
See, and now the physical world. So you have the divine world, the intellectual world, and the physical world. So each arcana made visible or tangible by one of these paintings is a formula of law, human activity, and in relation with the spiritual and material forces whose combines produce the phenomena of life. The 22 arcana, which describes below, is letter A, is number 1. This fresco featured the picture of Magus, or wise man. He wore a fine robe and his belt made in the form of a serpent biting its own tail, a symbol of eternity. He wore a golden headdress.
Like Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, symbolic the light of the sun. In his right hand is a scepter, gold, the image of command, raising heavenward as gesture, as aspiration toward knowledge, wisdom, and power. The index finger of the left hand pointed to the ground, signifying the missions of the perfect man was to reign over the material world. Before the magus, or square stone, was depicted a goblet, a sword, and a gold coin embellished with the cross. The goblet stored the mixture of passion, producing happiness or misery. The sword represented the striving leading to the conquest of obstacles. The gold coin symbolized worthwhile achievements, and the cross engraving on the coin was emblematic of the power to obtain in the world of the future. Now you see this on your for those who are always reading fortunes to others. This is why it's important to learn that, because what y'all are doing is, I know you want to tell somebody else's future, yet you got to look at your own to see how it even matches up. Because again, like we're now talking to ourselves when we're talking to someone else. So it's not that you're just talking to yourself, you're talking to yourself with the other person being involved. So that's the
Right.
mind, the physical, and the intellectual. All right, so letter B is number 2. Here in this picture of a woman seated in the threshold of a temple is Isis, and in her hand is a crown topped by a crescent moon. Her face was veiled a solar cross on her breast, and her lap an open book, half covered by a cloak. The seated woman symbolized occult science, awaiting for the initiate on the threshold of the temple.
Wait. Okay, run that back real quick.
Her veil, a solar cross on her breast, and in her lap an open book, half covered by a cloak. The seated woman symbolized occult science, waiting for the initiate on the threshold of the temple of Isis.
Okay, so, all right, so now listen. So, all right, so occult knowledge, right, comes from the bloodline of O. I'm bloodline O, right? So a sect comes first before SekMa'atra. SekMa'atra comes after her. So once, let's just say that I was waiting for the initiation of the occult knowledge which I hold, but I'm waiting for the initiation, sitting there, wait for the Aset, and for SekMa'atra to come through this time.
Right. The solar cross stood for matter, energized by spirit. The veil was an emblem of truth, hiding itself from profane curiosity. And the half-hidden book meant that the mysteries were revealed only to the wise man who wrapped himself in the cloak of silent meditation. So that's why sometimes what can be said is not by mouth. Letter C is 3. The feature here was a woman seated in the center of the blazing sun, crowned by 12 stars, and with her feet resting on the moon. The woman with the symbol of Mother Nature. The sun represents creative strength. The 12 stars stood the 12 sign of the zodiac, and the moon signified matter and its domination by spirit. This is where you get from the Temple of Dendera. If you see it, it'll show you Aset and Asar as a companion or a consort of each other. And as each zodiac, you're going to find them in a combination of helping out that zodiac. What society did was took the masculine and the feminine, took them out of the picture of the divine side, and only gave us the physical animal creature and called it still by what it is, an animal. So now we got letter D, which is number 4. This painting was of the man seated in the square, stone holding a scepter, while on his head a helmet topped by a crown. This stone cube stood for conquered matter. The scepter was a symbol of God Isis or Aset, and the crown helmet signifies strength, conquering power. You know, the acronyms are basically helpful for you whenever you're running through and you don't have any codifice. We call it a codex. You can still find out ways to look at what you're looking at and see right through it. So now letter E is number 5. And I'm going to get to the last letter, which is letter L. And I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more, 7 more. So now I'm on the 5th one. This fresco featured the Hierophant. The Hierophant, master of the sacred mysteries, and represented the genius of God, good intentions, and the spirit of conscience. That's letter E. Letter U and V, they're on the same letter. Same correspondence. That's number 6. Here was shown a man standing in a crossroads, flanked by 2 women. Each woman was a hand on the man's shoulder, and with each of the other hands pointing to one of the 2 roads. The woman on the right with the golden headdress represented virtue. The one on the left, crowned with the vine leaves, depicted vice. Now this is where you get the good and the bad, or the God and the devil on your shoulder. Letter Z is the 7th number. This picture, and that's why the Z is important, because you see there's 2 7s put there. 7 up, 7 down. Instead of the letter Z. This picture was built, this picture was that of a conqueror riding in on a chariot with a sword in one hand and a scepter in the other. The sword was a sign of victory. The scepter embellished with a triangle symbolized spirit, a square standing for matter, and a circle, where you get your masons from, signifying eternity. All together represented the dominance of mind over matter. All right, so now we got letter H. Now, if you know letter H, we still say H is like saying the number 8. I know that's right, brother. This acronym showed a woman on a throne holding in one hand an upper pointing sword, and with the other pair of scale, symbolic of justice, opposing evil with the sword and weighing the deeds of mankind in a balance. That's why you got eternity with that number 8 as well. So we went from 7, like it's a realization, to now 8. So now we're going into 9. This fresco is, this letter is T and H. So this is why you get the 4th, 5th. Yeah, this is where you're still using 9 energy, the number of 9. The fresco was that of an old man walking and leaning on a stick and holding in front of himself a lantern. This is where you get a lot of the connection to lamp, the lamb, all that's connected to your lantern. Half hidden by a cloak. The old man represented experience acquired in the labor of life. The light of the lantern was the mind which illuminated past, present, and near future. The concealing cloak was discretion, and the stick symbolized prudence. That's why you're knowing 9 is just like birth. Now, when 9 being birth, 10 you coming on to the earth, yeah, it's a connection to letters I, J, Y. These are interchangeable. Wheel, well, here shown suspended on its axle between two columns. This was the wheel of fate. On the right, Herman Anubis, which this is where you get the Aphrodite part. The good spirit was shown climbing on the top of the wheel. On the left, Set, the evil spirit, was depicted as casting down. A sphinx balanced on top of the wheel held a sword in his leonine paw. Then the leonine, that's the Leo here, up to 9, from 5 to 9. The Leo's heart to the 9th level, which is Sagittarius. The paws, which represents destiny, ready to strike to right or left. The turning wheel caused the humble to rise and the mighty to be cast down. The acronym of 11 is letters C and K. That's why they're interchangeable. And this is where you get number 20. Here is a picture of the image of maiden closing the jaws of a lion with her bare hands. And this was symbolic of the strength created by self-confidence. This is why you get 11 as the messenger. A lot of us use that depiction knowing that once we get into like an 11th of your day or 10, 11, 11, there's this self-confidence connection. How do you know about the Leo? How do you know about the Neo? Because Neo and lion is the same word. Going on number 12, letter L, which is number 30. This fresco show a man hanging by one foot from a gallows, the sign of violent death brought on by a tragic accident. So there's the foolish in our own aspect not seeing, known as the hangman. We hang ourselves, on the ego. The acronym 13 is letter M, which is number 40. In a meadow was shown a skeleton cutting off the head of men, while on the ground the hands and feet of men sprouted up. This signified the rebirth of all forms of being in the realm of time. This is how you know Kalima is that same connection. The 13, Arcanium, which is your acronym of who you are, and the 40 of, like, when you turn 40, you feel that connection. When you basically knowing about your M that's in your hand. Everybody got an M in their hand. What is it? Why is it signified that? This is your realm of time. As the acronym of 14 is the letter N, which is 50. Here we see the spirit of the sun holding two urns and pouring from one into the other. The sap of life, this symbolic various combination produces by nature. As that changes, there's the interaction of what X is. X is your 15. So from 14 to 15, from M, N to X, this is number 60. So we're going from how we started off at, from the 10, everything else becomes symbolically you knowing how to count up from 1 to 9. Now that we went from 10 to 11 and 12 and 13 and 14, it's going to go up to at least 22, right? While we're going up into the 22, we started off going in from where number 9 and number 10, once it got to 11, it went to 20. So when it got to 12, it went to 30. 13 is 40. 14 is 50. So 15 is 60, the X. This scene features Set, the spirit of evil rising out of a flaming abyss and holding a torch above two men chained at its feet. This is a symbol of fatality, which overwhelm or small, strong or weak. So these symbols or numbers, when you start to see them pop up, don't get messed up by not knowing that symbolically they're using the letter X, and then they're using the number 60 as well when they use the letter X. Same thing with the next one, 16, when the acronym is 16, which is letter O.
Right. Because 7.
Which is,
and that's the basically the right angle. So if you look at one right angle, you're looking at 3 more right angles, which is going to be the circle.
Exactly. Which is 7. Enemy is your letter O. A tower is shown being struck by lightning, and a crown and an uncrowned man being cast down from its summit. This being symbolic of a material force which crushed both the great and the small alike. So it don't matter about you winning. You're going to destroy both of y'all, thinking that you're winning, basically. It's not about win or lose. You know, you can hurt someone just as much as they can hurt you, basically. The acronym 17 is the letter F and P. Now you notice the letter F, just like the letter P, they can be used to sound the same. Like the P when it's with an H makes it an F sound. So the number 80 is what the F and the P are used as. A picture of blazing star with 8 stars, 8 rays. Wait a minute, let me start that over. A picture of blazing star with 8 rays surmounted by 7 other stars. This has the star of destiny. The 7 other stars represent the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets visible to the naked eye. And this is what I was saying about, you know, you got 4 planets, but the 5 and the 6 is the moon and the sun. So now, this was telling you that the 7 other stars represented the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets visible to the naked eye. So that's how you know we're on Earth. So that's the 5th without calling it that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you just basically got to think of, if a pyramid is built, it's built with 4 sides, automatic. But there's going to be more to it than just the 4 sides to see the top. And looking at the angle that the top basically show, like how Sister said, you got to change the angle up. You got to look at it diagonal. You can't just look at it straight down. You got to see in the inside. It might be an inverted triangle part, because this takes 3 months to equal 1 season. But out of those 3 months, 1 season, there's an upper and a downer. But in between that is also. So that's how you find out that the way shapes are made, just like I was putting that light on earlier, the way the shapes are made, it's just like how that light can be shifted. I can move that light and you'll find out different things to come out.
It's like chaos in the inside, but on the as far as outer edge wise, it's just being contained.
Exactly. So we need to know when someone is putting out, like on the wide scale, it's Masonic, like how we're doing with the major arcana and the minor arcanas. How are they using it in front of us and we don't see it at all? This is why you're getting it now. So the acronym for 18 is the letter T and S, which is number 90. Here we see the tower, the midst of barren landscape with the path on each side and illuminated by a half-clouded moon as twilight. This depicts a false security which we did not see hidden perils. That's why we were just explaining about, you got to look at it more than just one angle. You got to look at it from different angles so you would know it's not just angle, it might be the angels. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
Acronym 19 is the letter Q, which is the 100th number. A radiant sun was shown shining 2 small children holding hands in the midst of a circle of flowers, and this symbolized the happiness of a simple life. So people who have that letter Q, that might be the first letter in your name, you might have a simple life and you just don't see it yet. So now you have to do certain things, like how you see this two small children holding hands. That's the point of what symbolized happiness. You know what I mean? The acronym 20 is the letter R, which is number 200. So we went from all the teams, all from the 10 to 90, right? And now I'm going from 100 to 200 and then 300. By the time we get down to the elders or the nods or the nodes, which we call 22. And I haven't got there yet because I just went from letter Q. Now I'm going to letter R. Letter R is 20, which is the number 200. This picture was of a spirit blowing a trumpet over a half-open tomb from which a man, woman, and child were rising. This was a sign of change at the end of all things, both good and evil. So now you're seeing how the R is the L, or the L is the R in reverse. See where the L, let's just look back right quick, just a little bit. So at letter L, you had the man hanging by one foot, gallows the start of violent death brought by a tragic accident. Now you got the letter R, which is a half-open tomb from which a man, woman, and child were rising. So you seeing life, now death, or should I say death first, then life. That's your number 200, which comes from the letter R. The acronym 21 is your letter S, which is number 300. A picture of a blind man with a bulging wallet about to collide with the broken obelisk on which was a crocodile with open jaws. The blind man represents a slave of material things, and his wallet was filled with errors and faults. The obelisk represents the ruins of his works, and the crocodile was an emblem of fate. That's how you find out also the crocodile represents Tobet. So, through life and death is based off of your errors and your faults. So you feel like your fault in life, how do you represent that? Just like how he says, and his wallet was filled with errors and faults. Material things, basically. You could be a slave of them all. So now it is about your ego. It is about how the erect building can fall apart. Because it's saying right here, about to collide with the broken obelisk on which was a crocodile with open jaws. So now he's just waiting for you to fall in on your own demise. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes down to your 20, even in your age, at the age of 21, being more mindful, not being like, a go-getter and just materialize getting it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The acronym 22 is the letter T, which is your number 400. We went from 100, 200, 300, and we now in the fourth level, but on the 100 side. Here is a star surrounded by a garland of roses arranged to form a circle. And the four quarters of the circle were respectively the head of a man, a bull, a lion, and an eagle. These symbols correspond to the four quarters signs of the zodiac: Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio. So I went all around the board to give you that, so that way when I give you this, it won't be too weird when I say it. The names is Set, which is the man, Tuamutef, which is the jackal, Geb Sinuf, which is the hawk, and Happy, which is the ape. These are the symbols, the names and symbols. Now, the directions, colors, and seasons. Man represents the north, right, which is red, and the winter. The jackal, which is east, white, and spring. The hawk, which is west, white, and autumn. The ape, which is south, green, and summer. when later incorporated into the zodiac as standardized by the Greeks, were in respect to the names, symbols, locations, and directions are here. Aquarius, the water man, winter solstice, which is north. Taurus, the bull, the vernal equinox, which is east. Scorpio, the scorpion, which is autumnal equinox, which is west. Leo, the lion, is the summer solstice, which is south. The original four zodiacal constellations and their principal stars. Regulus, which is Leo, Antares, which is Scorpio. Fomalhaut is
That's facts. Antares. That's crazy.
and Aldebaran is Taurus. Among the ancient Hebrews, these symbols were the corresponding direction and seasons. Man, north, winter. Ox, east, spring. Eagle, west, autumn. The lion, south, summer. The early Christians adopted these symbols and related them to the four evangelists as follows. Matthew, man. North, winter. Luke, ox. East, spring. John, eagle. West, autumn. Mark, lion. South, summer. A picture of the sculpture relief of these are shown man and his symbols. And you can look that up as man as a lion, Luke as an ox, John as the eagle, and Matthew as a man. There's so many times that they're going into it that you're finding out that the ancient Egypts, that they had four compass gods, previous mentioned, they are imagined as the ape, man, jackal, and the hawk. In both instances, we have a group composed of three animals and one. These symbolisms of the four quarters was known in both the old and new worlds in their remote ages. Amongst the Chaldeans, Western Asia, these symbols are familiar, and their names, symbols, directions, and seasons were Estor is man, north, winter. Karuk is the bull, east, spring. Nating is Natting, east, west, autumn. Nergal was lion and still south and still represents the summer. In ancient China, the compass gods were black warrior of the north, the green dragon of the east, the white tiger of the west, and the red bird of the south. In ancient America, this complex prevailed among the Mayans and the Aztecs. Examples follow. Mulak is the north with the white. Can is the east and the red. Ix is what, that's letter I-X, is west, black, and Kak, C-A-U-A-C, is south and is west. In the Aztecs, that's Tecpatal, which is north, white. The Akatal, which is east, red. The Kali, which is west, black. And the Toptili, which is south, yellow. In the west, the Yoruba, the Bini, and the Bavili, the same order in the names. Ibara, Idu, Oyekun, and Osbi built their names with Ifa, the son of God, Horu, into the walls of their houses. So the more you look at it, you're finding out that the first beast was like a lion, the second beast like a cow, and the third beast has the face of a man, and the fourth beast was a flying eagle.
11.
They didn't change anything. They just kept modernizing what they saw. So the signs of the zodiac was the exception of the scorpion was exchanged by Dan for the eagle, was carried by the different tribes of Israelites on their standards. And Taurus,
It's 11:11, y'all.
Aquarius, and Scorpio the eagle, the four signs of Reuben, Judah, Ephraim, and Dan were placed on the four corners. The four cardinal points of this encampment, evidently an illusion of the cardinal points of the sphere, the equinox and the solstice, where the equinox was in Taurus. And when you find that Taurus was like the connection to the bull, you hear two bulls when you hear bull. So this is where the feminine
And bi means two, right?
Right.
Yeah.
It really was. All right. So that's just the she-bull.
Right. So the ram head Amen was the constellation for Aries. Osiris, the bull of eternity, was Taurus. The Set-Haru twin with the Gemini.
Right.
The beetle head Kepler Ptah was the sign of the beetle called crab. The lion face Atum was the Leo. The Virgin Niece was the constellation Virgo. Har-Maku of the scales was the sign of Libra. Isis Serket was the scorpion goddess, with the sign of Scorpio, which we called it Serket. Yep. Shu and Tefnut figured as the archer with the sign of Sagittarius. So you have to remind yourself from Leo, they basically use our sets energy 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. This is why a lot of confusion starts here. We'd be like, I don't know what they're talking about. But when we get to Shu and Tefnut, this is your moisture and your dryness to life. How the air basically had to have dryness and moisture in order to create fire. But the water on earth had to begin first. So that's why you got heaven and earth. 9, Shu and Tefnut figured as the archer with the sign of Sagittarius. 10, Num, N-U-M, the goat head who preside over the abyss with the sign of Capricornian. I'm going to go back at number 10, because that's where we're like heading to right now. But Manet, the divine wet nurse with the sign Aquarius. 12, Horus or Haru, the two crocodiles with the sign of Pisces. They don't usually show you with crocodiles as the connection to Pisces. And that's where a lot of us might not know that, they give Pisces a bad name because they wanted to say that that's one of the people that's basically addicted to death. So they'll end up being like someone that's taking a lot of drugs. Yet they'll be the one that's more interested in trying to see how life starts back over versus the expression of death. The reason why I was talking about 10 is because they use this as Baal. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but Baal,
Yeah, I seen that.
is B-A-A-L. They changed
That's-
this Baal to Baal.
And isn't that where Lord come from?
Right. And so now you see that how they changed the god El to being a Babel. And so Babel, Batham, was it Bays, Bethel,
And this,
Bel.
and that's the one
This is all this
they
connection.
give their children to. They sacrifice their children.
Yes. And now you're finding where we get the same thing as Mulak. So they call it the horn goddess. And now, the horn god, but this horn god had a feminine attribute. This was supposed to be the moon right here.
Right, the Baphomet.
Right. That's why this is the sun above that moon. So you'll see this always shown to you. But now notice there's 3 suns, not just one. So being in the center of it, and then it got the beard. So it was always showing like a goat, having like a goats, but they call it a goat
Goatee. Yeah.
this symbol on the connection to how we were somehow depicted in here without knowing this was, this was the mockery. Whenever you saw the bearded, you knew that you was talking about the Sumerians. So a lot of us not knowing where did all this come from. All right, so the first 1,000 years is the creation of the sky. The second 1,000 years is the creation of the water. The third 1,000 years is the creation of the earth. The fourth 1,000 years was the creation of the planet. The fifth 1,000 years was creation of the animals. The 6,000 years, here's number 6, creation of man. But now, how can you have creation of man without having woman? That's where we're having a lot of issues as a man with our ego.
Mm.
And it take a minute to figure this out because we didn't go through like all of the other people. Let's say the people on one side and the other. So in Kemet, a god dwelling in the primeval abyss where he has been sent since the beginning of time, uttered his own name, and by doing so caused himself to live. This god was created by magic, a foundation on which to stand probably the earth. From his mouth, this god drew forth objects which reproduced themselves. He then created two other gods, Ma and Fema. I said feminine, masculine and feminine, who in turn propagated other gods. Next, regurgitation and creeping things were created on the earth. Man, divine was finally created from the tears falling from the eyes of the original God. Babylonian. There are primeval gods dwelling in the abyss. Other gods joined them later and a conflict developed. Two of the primeval deities were slain. Another god, a feminine created monsters and fought against the newly arrived god, but were eventually killed. The new gods created the heavens and earth from the body of the slain goddess. One of the gods were decapitated, and from his blood and bones, the first human beings were derived.
Interesting.
Now, from the Asians, the world started as an atom formed from nothing. Other vast periods of time, the original atom split into two, producing masculine and feminine principles. Then, after splitting in two, eventually into 4 elements. From the 4 elements, a being was produced whose body produced the constituents of the universe, and from whose decomposing corpse came worms, which eventually became human beings. This is where you get that serpent worm, because the worm is end up being a serpent eventually. In Japanese, from China now Japanese. The world started from an atom which reproduced masculine and feminine elements. These formed an egg containing germs which heaven and earth resulted. A species of red shoot grew up between heaven and earth and then changed into a god. Living beings were born, and 2 of them united, giving birth to seas, rivers, islands, trees, herbs, and various heavenly bodies. The Celtic, the world was brought about by 2 principles, one creative and other destructive. The destructive principle dwelled in the abyss. Life in an atomic form was created by spoken word on the creative principle. Divine originated in the abyss, then came to the earth. Scandinavian. In the beginning was a yawning abyss bordered on one side by mist and cold, and on the other side by fire. A spark from the fire melted from cold vapor, producing a giant. This giant then gave birth to a race of giants. The original giant had a cow, which by licking a brine-covered rock produced the father of the god. Other gods then engendered, and they, in turn, slew the giant and created the world from his body. The earth covered with water was filled out of it by the gods. Finally, two figures were formed from trees and were given life and understanding by the gods. So these are all myths. Not saying that they all came true, yet they all got similarities of what, what truth is. And truth don't just pop up. It's always been there. So we're finding out that symbolically, a lot of us got some mixed up stories. And we haven't really put it all together yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yet, if you look at the calendar, the pyramid was built mainly so you can see it as a calendar. And it was able to tell you time without having to tell you what time is. Now, this is actually the pyramid, but on this pyramid, you're getting, and I know it's Latin or Spanish, but the word is Novembre, October, September, Patino, Tercero, Segundo, and Primero. We'll be saying from November, October, September. So from November, October, September. What is it? What's September? August? Yeah, August.
Yeah.
June, July. What's that say? July, June, and May, April, and February, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's only 9 of the months up here. And then with the 9 of the months, they're explaining it by a 13 year, like a 13 cycle. So just like, let's say 24 hours. We're not really based on 24 hours. We're based on 22 to 23 hours. And once that 22 to 23 hours override on the other, it's just like a flip inside of itself. And we wouldn't know it from night and day. So the same way with the pyramid that was built, that pyramid, the Great Pyramid, can be built on top of another pyramid. And then that's just like saying you teleported from this side and you still didn't see the whole bigger scale. That's why perceptions are interchangeable. It's at 2011 up here. So it says 2011. When you think about it, a lot of us were going through different changes from what they even saying from 1998. You had when 1991 actually came in to 1998, that represented your 7-year cycle. So your 7-year cycle, we change. So what we're going through right now, next year is the year of the dragon. So we're going through the 7 years. What is it, 2004, right?
Mm.
When 2024, comes up, 24 is 2 and 4, that's 6. But the 2000, that's the 8. So now that's how you see that you're reaching back into the 7. We're in the 7 right. We're in the idea of the invisible 7, get ready to go under and back over to the on top of the world concept.
So where
this was explained so many ways to say you got to start tapping into the 5G, the 8G, this frequency. The frequency changed because of this here. The pyramid.
So what's supposed to happen? What's supposed to happen? The dragon year.
Well, in the year of the dragon, you're actually being more aware and more awake to, as we said, technology. Now it just depends it depends on what you're looking at. The antiques, the Aztecs, the Atlantics. We're connected by learning our antique knowledge, and because we don't know it, like the Tower of Giza is giving you your guides.
Because the power of Giza is what the connected to the throat chakra. So knowing that if you're the dragon, you're gonna spit fire. Knowing that you're a giant, that's the height of the knowledge.
Yeah, and you gotta be mindful, just like I was saying with the numbers, how you can take yourself out by taking out the little man. You're taking yourself out. So now is if you look at the gods of Egypt, don't go into it as just a black and white thing. Go into it as the knowledge that's being brought and represented to you. This guy, Tartarian, he's big as a giant. They're showing you right now, TikTok. They're giving you all these giants right now, all over the place. And if you look up the Tartarian Empire, it's from one side of China all the way over there where Russia is at. They're all over the place. And then there's here in America. We just don't talk about it. Yeah. So Peru, I know if you look up Peru, you see it. You know, even in Michigan. And we were breaking that down. Me and SekMa'atra, we were breaking that down.
What's the big giants? They I want to say like they kind of like remind you like elves in a way. What they call? I think it's starts with huh?
What was the question?
They kind of like look like elves. Like like you seen like little toys of them, but they like giants. But it start with a T, I believe. And they like live in the mountains, like inside the mountain type deal. Like they have like
Trolls?
yeah troll.
They're like a gnome, like gnomes.
Some,
Yeah, the gnome would be the small version.
but I'm getting that with the I think trolls. Yeah, trolls.
Yeah, the trolls sound more efficient because you remember they came out with a movie, a cartoon.
Oh yeah.
And it was
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, they want us already used to what we already should be doing. And that right there, the troll itself, you pay a toll to a troll. So it's like the whole idea is be scared of your giant or be scared of your cyclops. But your cyclops is a representation of your middle eye, not just one eye.
Right.
Yet there is a notion that when we start having children and we started going into this ALE, it became a pale. So drinking too much, partying too much, and then basically doing adulterized things towards each other without the notion of Buddha. That's why this right here showing you the flower, the golden flower, the golden seed. When you have a smaller image of you and you take care of the bigger image of you, now it becomes just as small, compact. The same teachings and knowledge this one gets that this one get. So it's a point of saying being more responsible, like the sixth house. The fifth house was I'm a party, but the sixth house saying, oh, I'm responsible. I gotta get up in the next day. You know what I'm saying? So this is why you get this right here, the conditionings of self. And so it's more like learning your meditative side, so that way when you do come out, the ones that you relate to, even if it is your upper bodies or your lower bodies, they're still versions of yourself. And you're not saying, this person is not me. This happened to be you during summertime. This happened to be you during wintertime. You know what I'm saying? And so as the spring, summer changes on our thoughts, so do we. And that's what they call it, shed or skin. Because you reshed yourself, but you also basically have a epiphany of yourself. So you're going to be enlightened by certain things that you're going to just, I'm not going to do that anymore. Even though it was a point of saying a distinguishing of conscience. So you got your your subconscious, your unconscious, and your conscious. Those are your three basics. You know what I'm saying? So just like this, the understanding of the East, the psychology of possibility, not just understanding, what we call Tao, circular movement in the center of, in the century of, the distinguished part of consciousness, being able to detach consciousness from the object, being fulfilled. Because some of us aren't fulfilled, you know, and we like still running off and wanting to get something, yet you already mainly probably got it. You just didn't know it. So now it's the idea of finding out what your mandalas are. How do you create chance? How do you, like how you said with Quan Yin, how do you connect to that? When you look at Quan Yin, she basically is a wake-up call to a lot of the, you know, you can talk to your guys, but we probably don't talk to them. So now it's the idea of, what do you do for that? You know what I mean? Like, do you talk to them, or you chant to them, or do you have music that basically align you to it without you even have to do so much talking? Because this is where your anima and your animus connects back to. So let's say, what is it right here? I think it's right here. Okay, yeah. Haru was said to be the protogenic child of the Virgin Mother Isis. In the catacombs of Rome, black statues of the Egypt Divine Mother and the Infinite still survive from the early Christian worship of the Virgin and the Child, to which they converted. Indeed, the Virgin Mary is represented as a black negress, and often with the face veiled in a true Isis fashion. Statues of the goddess Isis are set with the child Haru in her arms were common in Kemet and were exported to the all neighboring to many remote countries where they were still to be found with these names attached to them. Christian in Europe, Buddhist in Turkestan, Taoist in China and Japan, figures of the Virgin Isis by duty as representing of Mary, Hariti, Quan Yin, of Quan, and other Virgin Mothers of God. So you'll find out, like Quan Yin, which you were speaking on earlier, she's a connection of fertility. She's also the connection of love and protection. As far as, you know, if you want to heal yourself, if you want to heal your body parts, you call on Quan Yin. And so that's what I was saying earlier, like, do you chant to him? Or do you look him up? Like you said earlier, you found a way to tap into yourself, bro, where you was using your magic.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things that if we're using this phone all the time, why don't we use it for another purpose?
Right. Right.
You know, you can find more of the help. This right here is Tefnut. If you look at Tefnut looks like SekMa'atra.
Yeah.
Now, the only difference is you see that snake on her head.
Yeah.
So this is where you say, I gotta look at this as saying, okay, if this is up here, the snake is up here, this still represent, just like the scorpion, how we can, you know, have a reptile on the head without noticing. So SekMa'atra and Serket, they're very close. And so you were saying, what's the significance behind the year of the dragon? Well, in reverse, after the dragon, right, comes the serpent or the snake. So that's why these all basically are in cahoots with each other, which as the scorpion. We know Scorpion King, but we ain't hear nothing about Scorpion Queen. And so it needed to be spoken of. If you're a man, you should be speaking about your woman, and if not your woman, you're supposed to be speaking about your mother, which is going to connect you back to your woman. son, and if you don't have a son, you connect to your father, which you know that your son will have that same likenesses of. And that's how you find out that we basically have paths that are similar, like a cardiologist. In a cardiologist, you can find out that you were matchmaking from the Harry Potter's wheel. And you start to find out through this, with the same way as like saying mummification. Some of us don't know that we're honoring certain things that we just didn't know of. And it's just basically that time to come back into it. You know, the bodies, the heavenly bodies, the stars, the planets, the moon, the sun. You know what I mean? And then find out whether it was totemism, was it totemism or institutions to that totemism? Because a lot of us, the animal totems, I had a picture of the moon, a picture of the owl. My son drew the picture of an owl, but I had no idea my last job or my last career in the job was going to be a place that had a mascot of an owl. Now, how did he know that? He didn't even know that. He just drew it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yet, it sat around long enough for me to actually see it. You know what I mean? To be a part of that witness towards it.
Yeah.
Just like what I said about learning the Buddhists. When I found out that Buddhist is not just in one area, Buddhist in all kinds of places. Here's the other thing. The bull clan, the bear clan. The first generation is the bull and the bear. Second generation is the bear and the bull. The third generation is the bull and the bear. The fourth generation is the bear and the bull. So they switch back and forth each generation. They might have called it the bull one time, but then they switched it up and called it the bear. So when we think about the same thing with Jesus, his name was Krishna somewhere else. They didn't keep us in one realm. We decided to stay in one realm. And
so bear as in like bear energy?
Yeah,
energy?
That too. Because remember the phonetic way we spoke is different from how someone wrote it, so that we'll get stuck into that. Because you bear your energy just like the beard is covering your energy. But yet it's revealing something with it being out. And they call it a precept. So like as one who can gain some knowledge, they had to gain the idea of where does hair come from. The hair came from your head, or the hair came from your mother that was able to express your epigenetic side.
Okay, since we on hair, right? Can we talk about the different type of hair, like with the 9 ether, the 6 ether, with the curly, and with the wool, whatever. Like, what's your?
Yeah, they had hair of wool. He had hair of wool. You know, so we're talking about like the shepherd is different now from the lamb and the sheep. The lamb and the sheep was a different name categorized, even though the sheep and the lamb basically both are an indication of different hair texture, like saying fur versus hair. So now I'm talking about like the lion being like a lion's mane. You see there's a difference in how this type of pulling of the hair, the 9 ether, whether it be the prosody or weak or strong, you know what I'm saying? Dense or thin. So you got so you got the Olmecs. They had not only the heads, right? These just happen to be some of the pictures. You can go further and you find out they have hair. They just didn't show it in these type of features. So when it came down, one to hide your truth, they put it in. They not only put it in a book, they put it in a sculpture. So there's ways you're able to.
Hey, all right, my.
There's ways you're able to see that your 9 ether is like the avatar. If you look at the avatar, you see what I'm talking about. Where they start putting the hair connected to the tree, connected to the animal.
So the hair. All right. So basically, when we look at the hangman card, And so you got your feet and you got your hair. One is connected to the sun, one is connected to the ground. Both of them are roots to energy. So your hair being your crown, being your antennas connection to the sun, and then when you come down here, you're basically rooted upside down, with your crown still up. Huh?
Yep. Yeah, that's the upside down Peter, the cross.
So as it does start to warm up, our hair has to be more free because it's gonna or locked in either way. It's just going to tune our DNA even more because that is what's activating our DNA is our hair. So literally our antennas connection to Earth.
Yep. And this will show you how that works. Because
that's why I say your strength.
Right. Strength is your strength. So just like the temple in man, its symbol is the temple. Right here in this section, then we're able to get to the top of learning self. But when you learn self, it's through the depictions of the solstice change. How in the solstice change, it changes the sun in variation. So whether it's high noon or at 3 o'clock, feeling like it's high noon, will you feel sweat or will your hair pores, giving out sweat glands? Will it be able to do what it need to do when it's time for you to detox? When we rise up, man has a rise erection. So it's the same thing as that. How do we find out symbolically were we doing the right thing to have children? This is Moon over here, which they call Kanun, and then you have Mut, which they also still connected to Set, but you see, or Heru with the horns, is why they tried to show you Baal with horns on the head as a cow. But the sunrise and sunset connection of how we knew when we can have children. And it wasn't just one child, we can have twins.
You said that's Mut and who else?
This is Mut right here. And this is Kanun, or known as Amun. A-M-U-N. But you always find, you always find him with the horns on his head like that.
A man.
Yes. Which is connected to men, M-I-N. Society, when it became a subversity society, they came up with man, M-A. So they changed the whole M-I-N to how you can see it right here. What's going on up in the picture? You see up here at the top?
Oh, because it's many men, like 50 Cent said, many.
Right. So you're seeing the versions of God creating the gods.
Right, because it's still all in oneness. So
yes. It was based on the goddesses, not just gods. It was goddesses and gods. So when you hear the lion's den, you're hearing about the lions and David going in the den and changed and become Daniel. Yeah, they talk nothing about the lioness. So in order for him to get around them, he couldn't pray on them. He had to meditate, but this is where you still get the firmament right here, tree of life. And in between that, you see the tree of life right there, the firmament. This would be different from having a Christmas tree in your house. But they put a Christmas tree in the house so they can repeat the German influence of where they got it from. This is where they got it from.
Speak on that some more.
They wanted you to hang a man.
What's your
So the literal Xmas, Christmas,
right?
Christmas or crossma.
Ooh.
Right, cross mama. Yep, the cross mama house.
God dang.
By doing the ritual, they had her to do the ritual.
The dogma.
Wow, that's
This
crazy.
is where you see the Santa Claus. This is where he did the Santa Claus thing at. See, the brother right here, he got the goblet in his hand, but it's just like saying the feminine in his hand. And there's the snake Of course, we changed the snake to a deer and sleigh and reindeer going up the chimney aspect. So all this has been depicted in difference.
And that's why you say, so the T is still the E, right?
You said the T?
You said the T was the E?
No, I said the T and the S are together.
Okay.
But the E represents the fifth number, so it's still about being alive, still about being a part of the lion energy. Before we get into the lion, how did you be the beast? Or how did you become a beast? How did you do bestiality? So it looked like as if I see this and I don't know anything about it, I say, oh, he's praising to him. Or he's like, like they say with the prayer. He's over here worshiping him. We didn't worship no one. We honored one another. This is ownership. Even though one is sitting, one is standing, they still have ownership for another.
So that was still like, even though, let's just say, I'm connected to the SekMa'atra energy, but Leo is the SekMa'atra energy, but just based off of my placement of the heart, that still, allowed us to be, which is not worshiping each other, but in balance.
Right. And that's how you see the priest or the priesthood or the giant and the what we called earlier, the gnome or the twa. This is how they merge. It might take two of me. It might take two of me to be me, but the two of me
funny.
is a physical me and a spiritual me to be this bigger me.
So
a gnome, that's Gemini's mystical animal, the gnome.
Right, which connect to Nomo. So your gnome, your Nomo, the fish, the mermaid.
But they said you're mean. They said you're mean.
Well, remember they call it short tempered. So it's not get them all fast. It's not calling them mockery. An intelligent person can get really pissed off quick.
Oh yeah, no, you're right there. You're right there.
You don't do stupid stuff in front of an intelligent person.
Yeah, you definitely play with my intelligence.
so
That part.
hey, so look, right, back to the when you was talking about the kneeing and how they was like in position and stuff like that. So and like how they was going about, like, did they pray in Egyptian times?
Well, it depends on where you at. That's what I was saying about the Sumerians. They might have had them different ways that, because for real, you might wear a lizard head, and that lizard head was an indication of you cleansing out the inside of you, while you might be wearing a jaguar, and a jaguar might be a protector for you.
Okay, so basically, instead of praying, we actually use these certain rituals that we knew, and so that we incorporated instead of just praying for something. Like we actually knew what to do. Like we knew what were connected to what. We knew, we just knew how to alchemize life with earth's elements.
By being in tune with nurture, you see how these animals are next to the brother? They in tune with nature, not saying, oh, I gotta tame this animal. So when it came down
to the power,
right, personification helped them not just be personal. They had to learn what are the characteristics behind that made it such. So now,
right,
that's the connection. Like I don't have to be a monkey, but if I dress up like a monkey and start doing the monkey things, I get the monkey
energy. Right, right. Knowing the power of it, so basically, us being black or whatever like that, we are able to channel our ancestors, and our ancestors can come in many forms, whether it be animals, whether it be anything. So being able to channel those forms of deities, like you said, whether it be a monkey or whatever like that, that did give us the strength, or give me the strength, just like Pikachu said, Pika, whatever like that. And then he pulled out that energy that he was able to use.
Yeah, just like how you see from the ocean. Like you can call on Ocean, but if you call on Ocean and you ain't nowhere near the ocean, maybe it takes a little longer. And so if that's the case, yep, like martial arts. If that's the case, you bring on the light substances that can help bring that quicker. You know what I'm saying? You might have to sit 30 minutes instead of 3 minutes because you way away from an ocean. However, if you put material things, let's say like seashell or the punch, bring the punch into this and into the location. See the directions also. That's it.
And also anywhere, so you'll be able to tap into that channel. If you don't have it right then and there, you can bring those elements together using the mat, which is like you bring a fire element, the water, get some water, you know.
Yep.
Being able to manipulate, pretty much.
Which is your charm, because the word manipulate was Greek terminology. We knew how to alchemize.
Okay.
Theirs was to influence in a non-intelligent way, calling it intelligence. Just like saying smart. There's no real word for smart, even though we use it all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's a small part of the art when you say smart. So now, how is it utilized where it's not without emotion? You know, you acting smart, but then doesn't that sound like emotion versus intelligent?
That's like a documentary versus our artifact.
Right, exactly. That's like research without study.
Right.
You want to still study this stuff. You don't want to just be like, oh, I'm a researcher. Well, then how long you going to research?
Yeah. Trial and error. So being able to experience, that brings faster results.
Exactly. So you think about that.
Some people like, oh, how do you know? How do you know? You haven't gone to school. Well, I know through experience, personal experience.
Exactly. That makes you quicker to adapt versus just adopt anything.
Right.
Yeah. If you haven't seen Maya and the Three, I recommend watch that. It's a series. It might be animated. Might even bore you a little bit, but it shouldn't, because it's getting into what life and death was about. When we ran through the stages, like even in Buddhism, you find out that a certain stage started with life and death first, and then you were like, oh man, to do that, I gotta learn, beyond life and death. And so that's why the survival of the fittest and all of that, with those who was not in tune with life and death, and it just was going through the six realms. And what I mean by the sixth realm is the realm of God, the God realm, the realm of the jealous gods, which is the Titans, the animal realm, the realm of hungry ghosts, the hell realm, and the human realm. Once you got to the human realm, that was like your sixth, like he was talking about with the hair. That's your sixth ether. That's your sixth ether unknowing. But sixth ether is coming out the ground. Nine ether is going back. Sixth ether is going in the ground. Nine ether is coming out of the ground. So those were stages.
So like for the death, and then rebirth.
Right. So you had to have a view on it, to resolve it, to have a speech about it. What's your action behind it, your livelihood?
So it's like soul versus spirit.
Right. What kind of effort you have? What are you mindful about it, so that you can concentrate better? Because once you start concentrating, your wisdom, morality, and your meditation will increase. And you're looking for livelihood. So that's just the part of what most people might not find out between life and death. They might say, I'm doing this for my children. Yeah, what are you living out of while you're doing this for your children? You might feel like you're living in hell for your children. You shouldn't have to live in hell for your children.
All right, Joe. We gotta wrap it up. Gotta take care of some business real quick. But there was good talks, yo. We definitely got it in on, especially with getting back into it with the Mayans and the Egyptians and bringing that culture back into the forefront. So how you want to close it? E? You got your bowl or your flute.
Give thanks to y'all, man.
Thanks, bro. Every Wednesday at 9 p.m., y'all. We tapping in.
I'm gonna make sure I don't go to work.
Spiritual Bible study. Well, spiritual study. We're going to call it that. Spiritual study. There we go. Spiritual study Wednesday.
I thought that worked. Ain't work. Give thanks to Quan Yin.
Quan Yin.
Share.
Oh, shit.
Hey. Let me respect.
Too.
Love, bro.